It's because he had miraculously crashed the stock market.
What do you expect in 3 months, brother? It's gonna take time, and it's gonna be ugly.
And Donald Trump retracted those because he had crashed the markets.
Let's hop into a Piers Morgan panel that has Cenk Uygur, it has the red-faced Vinny guy who always yells on the topics of Trump, tariffs, and more. So take a moment if you can, like this video. It helps us out a bunch. It's free and we really appreciate it. And otherwise, let's hop right into what I'm sure is going to be a spicy debate.
Donald Trump backpedals, and you can tell it's a backpedal and not some sort of art of the deal because he got absolutely nothing in return. So the 90-day pause was based on zero give back from any other country. It's because he had miraculously crashed the stock market and the bond market at the same time, which was previously held unimaginable because one is supposed to go up while the other one goes down, but he managed to do both. And now China tariffs is super strong. Okay, exemptions for iPhones and electronics. Why? Because he hadn't thought it through. He hasn't thought through any of this. He's always doing this in a way that makes no sense at all. And by the way, if you like tariffs and you like the idea of rebuilding manufacturing in this country, Donald Trump just did massive damage to it.
I mean, if you like tariffs being correctly used to bring manufacturing back to America, then look no further than Joe Biden, who successfully did this with electric vehicles, with semiconductors and more, where we saw a massive manufacturing boom, unlike anything in the last decade, when Trump was president, by the way. And there's only two answers to Trump's irrational way of utilizing tariffs. He either backpedaled because he was uneducated, underestimated, or didn't understand the damage and negative effects that they would cause, or he had the plan to screw over people's retirements, screw over their jobs, companies, whatever, to purposefully tank the market as an investment opportunity. Literally can't be anything else. And I think either one is disqualifying.
What would have garnered trust is if he had done this in a rational way and said, here's the industries I'm protecting, here's the countries I'm targeting, and I'm going reciprocal. If China's got 20%, we're going to put 20% on them and it's non-negotiable, right? Or we're going to negotiate it down to zero so that we're got it fair for both sides. But to do 145%, I mean, you might as well do 1,000,000%. It doesn't make any sense. At that price, you can't sell any goods. So he's not thinking this through. He's doing this in a crazy way. And you guys are saying, hey, let's see how it plays out. It's only 3 months in. I get it, and that's fair. And there's a long way to go with 4 years. But what you can't say at the same time is that it's worked so far. It hasn't. It did crash the stock market. It did crash the bond market. And Donald Trump retracted those because he had crashed the markets. That's not part of any plan. That's just a giant screw up, and he got nothing in return.
I mean, he's exactly correct here, right? You can say you trust Trump still to turn things around and fix it, which I would say based on what? This is a man who in his first term led us into a manufacturing recession and then to a full-on recession while never enacting any policies that benefited the middle class more than the wealthy, and a majority of the time couldn't outperform his predecessor's economy, showing that if anything, he just rode coattails. But this time around, everything he's touched has been a massive failure. So like, you absolutely can't just pretend what he's doing is good. You absolutely can't pretend there's any like precedence on why we should trust him. So if you're going to say, well, I trust him, then sure. But those who are saying it's good are just exhibiting a spectacular amount of cope just to not be able to admit any shortcomings of Trump because they see him as like a god or a king. And these are the people whose opinions should never be taken serious. Let's be honest.
But Cenk, what do you expect in 3 months, brother? It's gonna take time, and it's gonna be ugly. China has owned our asses, Cenk, for how long? And the only thing I fear, Piers, the last time, because listen, at the end of the day, all these other countries they're gonna bend the knee. China is our actual threat. When people say they're our adversary, no, that's our enemy. Okay, Piers, it's freaking China. And the last time Trump tried to hold them accountable, and we had a trade war with China, a virus mysteriously leaked out of a lab that we not only opened, we funded, and the main guy behind the helm that this virus leaked from got a preemptive pardon, and his hands were washed, and he has no accountability.
Okay, that got real tinfoil hat real fast, but let's address all of what he said in reverse order. The origin of COVID is unknown still, so I guess you can still say, oh, made in the lab, but the intelligence community still, as it always has, leans towards it being created in nature. The idea that it's some bioweapon is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in itself, but the idea that it's a bioweapon in response to a trade war is insanity, right? What actually happened the last time we started a trade war with China was a manufacturing recession, directly caused by that, but then a recession shortly after that it was harder for us to pull out of because of how this hurt trade. He said China owns us, which In some respects, economically, they definitely do. That might be the only correct thing he said in that whole spiel. But does he think that this is because of tariffs and that tariffs are what is going to liberate us from that? I don't think you could support that with any facts. I definitely don't think he could support that with any facts. China owns us because of how we've allowed them to take multiple global markets over that give them an economic edge globally, like electric vehicles, for instance. And because their infrastructure allows manufacturing of some things much cheaper than us, so we would rather, and as an import economy, we would rather import those to innovate rather than to rely on our exports, as well as China having an abundance of rare earth minerals. The solution to this would be investments in American manufacturing, try to stop or fill the gap, like in electric vehicles, like in semiconductors, like in these kinds of things to the best of our ability. Investments into competing nations, right, in these who can compete with China in these different industries that right now we're relying on China for. That way you're building them up as suitable trade replacements. And then maybe some sort of trade agreement in the interim, right? But just tariff away. That's what Trump's saying. But what do you expect him to do in 3 months? I almost forgot. The last point we have to address, literally just not crash the market. I don't know. Is that too much to ask?